I want to get on to a very lighter note, which some of us consider to be lighter, but I don't think it's lighter. And I want all of you to touch base on this from your own experiences. Is that one important thing in terms of racism, when I think is jokes, right? Something that we all have in our own South Asian culture is like, we have these racist jokes that exist, whether it's against the Pathans in Pakistan, that they're dumb or silly, or like the meme culture, or like, they're always miser, conjuice, or it's about kale, mote log. How can we think about, or like, how can we, in terms of a society level, how can we come above the racist jokes or elements that we have? And I'll start with Sarim, and I want everybody to talk about this.
So there's this movie known as The Freedom Writers. So if any of you have seen it, so there's a scene in the movie where so it's a very racially diverse classroom, and one of the students is actually making a picture of a black man, and he's drawing the lips a little bit bigger than the entire face, and that is one of the stereotypes that is attached to black people. And the teacher actually gets a hold of this picture, and she calls it out, and she said that how many of you actually know about the Holocaust, and no one actually knew about it. And in that movie, she actually tells that the Holocaust actually started with pictures like these, pictorial depictions of Jews that portrayed them with big noses, with people that are very fat because they have committed a lot of sins. So the entire Holocaust undeniably is one of the major atrocities that have taken place in the last 100 years, and that started with jokes. And that, I think, is very important when you're talking about this, when you're talking about how racial jokes can propagate into very extreme things, and we need to call them out on a very grassroots level. So that was an example. And how do you want to tackle that? I think that we need to give examples like the Holocaust. We need to give extreme examples, counter these jokes, tell them that this is wrong because this has actually led to a lot of horrible things happening in the past. And apart from that, these jokes actually uh, instill a mental bias in our minds that actually affects a lot of physical things. So when we think about the jokes, we think that this is just a laugh that I'm having, but that laugh is actually affecting your mental bias, and that mental bias is affecting the allocation of resources in our society. So that is very important because at the start of my conversation, I said that capitalism and racial inequality is very well tied. So, for example, if there is no racial inequality in the world, and you see right now the most of the people living in Africa are living below poverty. So if there's equal distribution of resources, so the people that are rich will have to give up their resources so that the people in Africa can rise above poverty, and that redistribution of resources would be beneficial for one race but not be beneficial for the other race. So I don't know if it's making sense for everyone, but what I'm trying to say is that if we are making a argument regarding racial equality, then the argument is also about equal distribution of resources within races, and the race that is in power or that has more resources at this point in time will have to forego those resources in order to have a more equitable society in place. And again, circling back to this point, jokes are the starting point of racial inequality anyway.
Jokes or just like normal culture, which you don't even think as harmful, like media, right? And Megha, do you want to talk about like the racial bias? And I think you touched base a little, but I want you to dive into the racial bias that exists in Bollywood, and how much that can actually sit in our subconscious level.
Yeah, so it's like this whole thing of being like, oh, but, it's just a film or it's just a joke. Stop taking it so serious. So if you say something and you get accused of being like, oh, you can't take a joke, or it's just a little bit of fun. Why can't you lighten up? And I think that just comes again from a failure of seeing that it's only funny because of a certain power play, because of a power structure, and because you're in a position of power to find it funny. And it does just end up reinforce negative stereotypes. So again, like, I just don't understand in like the colorism in Bollywood. Whenever, so you have, say, like Alia Bhatt, when she in Uttar Punjab and she played, someone from a lower caste background, they put brown face on her, and I don't understand what was the need for them to put her in dark skin just to show that she was playing a poorer person, or like Ranveer in Gully Boy, where I don't see why that is a need. And also just hiring more diverse actors as well. It's surely we are bored of hearing the same storyline. It's like middle class rich girl, like dark poor boy, they fall in love. Sure, it's time to have some more diverse conversations around that too. And then in the media, we're seeing, like here in the UK, we're seeing so much negativity around, say, people going to Black Lives Matter protests now, and then how this will impact, say, coronavirus in 2 weeks, and what will be, will there be a second wave? But no one is talking as much about the fact that people have been on beaches every single weekend. People have had VE Day parties. There was, a conga, and it's just that kind of the way the media plays into these are the people that are responsible, and look, this is the problem that they caused. And I think British media is kind of one of the worst. If you followed kind of the treatment of Meghan Markle as well when they got married versus the treatment that Kate Middleton received. Like, I just still remember this Daily Mail headline, and it was like, I think Prince Charles got Meghan an avocado, and it was like Meghan is responsible for, farmers in Peru not having any money, versus when Kate Middleton got an avocado, and it was how William was a wonderful husband. It was just a very senile example, but it just works on so many different levels, and it's just reinforcing the stereotypes. So how do we break out of it? I just think it has to be through having conversations, being like, look, actually, this isn't as funny as you think it is because of X, Y, Z. And then if you get the response of lighten up.
And I'm really happy that you mentioned that, right? Because this is something that I think every girl has in the South Asian culture has at least once in her lifetime heard about from other people, for her or other people, कि तुम gori nahi ho, or like you should be fair, or if you're not fair, or if you're not a doctor, then what are the prospects that are out there? तुम gori nahi ho, तुम doctor nahi ho, तुम्हारी क्या prospects हैं, right? And this is something that we have, like, ideal patli dubli gori doctor ladki is the ideal candidate for somebody to get married, right? And this is a stereotype that our boys grew up with, right? Like, they imagine that, oh, Katrina Kaif is gonna come with their hair flying, and which is like these are the examples that we cited from media. And I don't know, like, how many times, like, I have seen girls depressed because and applying, like, skin lightening creams and all of that. And this is a facet of racism. Like this is just blatantly out there, right? Like, it's not no common sense to understand this. So I want to ask, like, Sabrina and Soleha, like, what are on a very mystic level, what are these elements that you see either in jokes or media, like, that go and live on in our brains in a subconscious level? So Sabrina, I'd like
I definitely have some personal stories on this.
yeah.
So, I mean, you know how, like, you get tanned, like, some people may say, oh my gosh, you've gotten darker, but they say it in, like, a negative way, you know what I mean? It's like, tanning is okay, tanning is just, like, a natural thing. I don't understand why you have to say, oh, you're a bit darker, you should be lighter. And I don't know which story I should go with, but this was when I was 16, and this girl was like 13. She was just like a random person, like another Bengali person. I think it was my uncle's rishta or something, whatever. So basically, I think we were in my garden, and I don't know where this came from, but she said to me, "Oh, you'd be so much prettier if you were fairer." I was just like, at that time, I was just 16. I was just like, I'd brush it off. And then a couple of years later, I brought it up to my friends, and they were like, Sabrina, that's a bit effed up. That's really bad. She shouldn't have said that. And yeah, I realized that was a really bad thing to say at the time. Well, not at the time, like now, obviously. And yeah.
Yeah, so just put it out there. I think this is so funny, but I think I've replied to someone. Is that I don't know if it was like a joke or something where they were like, "Oh, are you waiting for Prince Charming to marry?" And then I think I saw this somewhere. And I was like, "Yes, Meghan Markle. She was a black woman and she got Prince Harry. So it's not that you don't have the chances. But any time that you hear that, all the girls listening to us out there, like, your skin color does not define the chances for you, or like,
dark skin is beautiful, isn't it?
everybody is beautiful in every color, every feature, every body size. everything is beautiful. And trust me, like, there's a famous saying, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. And you will find that somebody who will look at you like that, and never discredit yourself. And even all the parents looking, hearing this, never discredit your child based on how they look. It's just inhumane. It's just actually saying that, God, you made a mistake. Next time you say to your child that, oh, you don't have this, or like, firstly, it's your own product. So, firstly, we all need to reflect. If we're saying something, they are a reflection of us. And secondly, we're saying to God that, oh, God, you made a mistake. So please be mindful of that. And so, going on to Soleha, do you have any examples or anything that you'd like to share?
Me personally, I've experienced that I'm not light enough. I'm just halfway there, but I didn't quite make it. But I haven't experienced as much as others may have done. It's just been comments in passing. Um, in terms of like in our casework, I have come across people who've had, because domestic violence is not just partner violence, it's family members as well who can be abusive towards it. It can be parents, it can be siblings, that sort of framework. And a lot of some of the cases dealing with, they were based on colorism. A lot of the harassment started from there. And in terms of intimate partner violence, it did start from colorism. If the woman is darker and the kids are also dark, and then she's had a lot of hell, like, oh, all the kids have gone towards you, they've gone dark like you. So some cases did have that element. Coming back to what Megha said about Bollywood as well, I've grown up watching the same films as my parents. So, from the 50s, 60s, they used a lot of blackface in Bollywood, that was portrayed, and they always showed them as savages and just these savage jungle people, and the actress would be in blonde hair, blue eyes. If you go back into the 50s, 60s movies, you will see some of those. The ones with, what's her name, Helen in them, Helen the dancer, I don't know if you know her, but she was in those films, and she portrayed a lot of those classic white female sort of roles. And I think it all comes from the media. We can talk about changing ourselves, but we have the opportunity to have diversity around us. There are some places where that diversity is not available, so you cannot experience other cultures, other races, because of where you come from. So in that sense, I think media has a larger role to play in terms of films, and they need to take responsibility for all the biases and prejudices that are being fed into the community overall. The most recent example I could think of is I think it was in 2003. I don't know, Megha, if you know about this. There was like this massive outrage in India at the time over this air hostess ad. And in the ad, the girl is a really young girl. She's quite dark, and her father is really depressed and really distressed that she's not going to get a job because she's dark. But then she goes and uses this magic lightning cream, and then suddenly she has this amazing job as an air hostess. And this ad was slammed as being sexist and racist, rightly so. And it caused a huge storm, and it created a huge dialogue in India about it. I don't know what happened with that dialogue. I think it's still going on. And then later on in 2009, there was the Dark is Beautiful campaign by, I think it's called Women of Worth, who done it. So that campaign was successful, but now you've got like darker skin actresses kind of trying to like champion the cause, but then you've still got the likes of Disha Patani, Priyanka Chopra pushing the fairness screams, but then tweeting on Instagram or whatever that, all colors are beautiful, but then you're making people feel inferior in their own skin. So I think change comes from media, particularly in our South Asian culture, needs to come from that. And it's only then we can start talking about it with our kids, because I think our elders still have those biases. I think we still have those biases because that's all we consume. Bollywood media is a big part of us growing up.